Russian prisoners of war and their relatives are increasingly asking not to be included in prisoner exchanges, fearing that a return to Russia would lead to interrogations, humiliation, and redeployment to the front lines. Some families openly say that their loved ones would be safer remaining in Ukraine and even seeking Ukrainian citizenship rather than falling back into the hands of Russian authorities. These fears are rooted in long-standing practices within the Russian military, where soldiers are reportedly warned even before deployment that it is better to die by detonating a grenade than to surrender to Ukrainian forces. In 2022, Russia officially criminalized voluntary surrender, a move widely seen as an attempt to intimidate mobilized soldiers and prevent capitulation. Earlier this year, one of the first high-profile sentences under this law was handed down to Russian soldier Roman Ivanishin. After being released from Ukrainian captivity, he was sentenced to 15 years in a maximum security penal colony on charges of voluntary surrender, attempted surrender, and desertion. His case sent a powerful signal to other soldiers and their families about the risks of surviving capture. The story of 31-year-old Igor Dolgopolo further illustrates the growing anxiety. He was captured in August after being sent to the area near Chasiv Yar, and his relatives now fear that if he is exchanged, he will simply be sent back to the front. One of his family members bluntly told journalists that soldiers in his situation would be better off staying in Ukraine, living there, and even obtaining Ukrainian citizenship. According to them, those who return from captivity are no longer trusted, are subjected to humiliation, and are effectively punished for having survived. As reported by the Wall Street Journal, a disturbing and paradoxical situation has emerged in Russia, where families of captured soldiers fear their release rather than hope for it. The reason is straightforward: once back in Russia, former prisoners of war are often isolated, interrogated by security services, publicly discredited, and in many cases sent back into combat. Against this backdrop, Ukrainian detention facilities are increasingly viewed by families as safer and more humane than returning home. During their isolation after repatriation, former prisoners are interrogated by the Federal Security Service, the Investigative Committee, and the Military Prosecutor's Office. In some cases, investigators look for signs of treason or collaboration with the enemy, while in others they pursue criminal cases linked to surrender or absence from combat. Because voluntary surrender is now a criminal offense, the simple act of staying alive can become grounds for prosecution. After weeks or even months of interrogation, many returning soldiers are sent back to their units. Some are stripped of their weapons and assigned to degrading duties such as cleaning, guard shifts, or endless training as a form of punishment and control. Others are immediately redeployed to active combat zones. This reality has fueled growing fear among prisoners of war and their families, who increasingly see captivity in Ukraine as the lesser of two evils compared to returning to Russia.